So today we are going to be making some sweet and sour venison meatballs using our cast iron skillet. We're going to start the recipe by putting our venison into a bowl. Now I have 1.5 pounds of venison here. The recipe that I found online calls for 1 pound of venison, but we freeze ours in 1.5 pound packages. So that's what I'm using. So that's what I have. I did adjust my recipe accordingly. So to the venison, we are going to add 4 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. Now this again is for 1.5 pounds of venison. I have made this recipe before with just 1 pound, so you can adjust your ingredients based on how much you have in your bowl as far as your ground. I'm also going to add some garlic. I've got about 3 tablespoons of garlic there. We're going to add some salt, just a little bit of that. We're going to grind some pepper. Again, you can put as much salt or pepper as you like. I'm adding about 1/4 cup of onion. And we're going to add 2 eggs to this. If I was using just 1 pound, I would only use 1 egg. But since I'm using 1.5 pounds, we're going to go with 2. And I'm just going to mix this up, and then we're going to form it into some balls. So here is my mixture. And I'm just going to use a spoon for now. I'm going to get my hands all in it in just a minute. But we're just going to start stirring this with a spoon. And just get that all incorporated together. Now to keep things a little less messy in my kitchen, I'm going to go with some rubber gloves for forming the meatballs. Okay, so now we have that all mixed together and we're ready to start making the meatballs. So I'm just going to try to make my meatballs here and just plate them up. You don't want to make them too big. That was my oven preheating. You don't want to make them too big. You want to try to keep them all the same size so they cook evenly. So it looks like we're going to get about 24 meatballs out of the 1.5 pounds. So now that we have all of our meatballs ready, I'm going to go ahead and turn my cast iron on. I'm going to put this on a medium heat and I'm going to let it preheat for about 3 to 4 minutes. Then I'll add a little bit of oil and then we'll start adding the meatballs and let them start browning. While we're waiting on this, we're going to start making our sweet and sour sauce. So for our sweet and sour sauce, we're going to use 1.5 cups of brown sugar, a 1/2 cup of water, and a 1/2 cup of white vinegar. So that was the white vinegar I just added. And now we're going to add the water. We're going to mix this up here. Now, when you go out to eat to a traditional Chinese restaurant, your sweet and sour sauce is a red color. Here at home, it's going to be brown. But trust me, it still tastes just as great. So I'm just mixing this up really well. And I'm going to go ahead and move it over here to a burner. And I'm going to turn this one on a medium low. We're going to let that sit for a moment, let that start heating up. In the meantime, we're going to mix together 2.5 tablespoons of cornstarch and 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce. We're going to mix this together, and then we're going to pour it into the sweet and sour mixture. So we're doing 1. I'm actually going to do 2, and we're going to mix this together really well. You can see this is going to be our thickening agent for our sauce. We're going to go ahead and pour in our soy sauce and cornstarch mixture into the sauce. And we're going to very slowly bring this up to a boil. And as it heats up, it's going to thicken. So just to show you this sauce here, we're just got to keep an eye on this and very gently bring it up to a boil. You don't want it to boil over. It'll make quite a mess on your stove. And in the meantime, the cast iron is getting hot. Okay, so our pan is heated up enough. I'm going to add a little bit of oil to it. We're going to wait about another 30 seconds, and then we're going to throw those meatballs in and get those cooking. Now the pan I am using tonight is a black lock pan made by Lodge Cast Iron. It's 10 1/4 inches. I love this pan. It's a lightweight pan. It does really, really good for cooking. So we have all of our meatballs in the pan, and they are starting to cook up nicely. And then right here next to it, we are got our sauce going. You do not want to take your eyes off of this sweet and sour sauce. It can boil over super, super quickly. It is starting to thicken up. Once these brown really nice, I'm going to pour this sauce over it, and then I'm going to let it finish inside the oven on 350. Starting to get some really nice color on those meatballs. And our sauce is it's perfect. It's right where I want it to be. I've just got it on a low temperature right now until I'm ready to pour it over the meatballs. Okay, we are going to go ahead and pour our sauce over our meatballs. And then I am going to transfer this into the oven on 350, and we're going to let it cook for about 20 minutes. We're just going to let those meatballs finish cooking in the oven. That way I don't overcook them on the stovetop in the pan. Oh, those are looking good. And they smell delicious. So I'm just going to turn all of these, get them all good and coated in the sauce, and then I'm going to put them back in the oven for about 5 more minutes. I just want to make sure that they are good and cooked all the way through. They've just been cooking in this sauce here in this cast iron skillet in the oven. We browned them first, and now we're going to put them back in. Oh my goodness, those look so perfect. They smell absolutely delicious. So I have already pre-made some jasmine rice, and that's what I'm going to serve these meatballs over. Make sure we get plenty of that sweet and sour sauce on there. So there you have it. Venison sweet and sour meatballs. I hope you try this recipe at home, and I hope you enjoy it. Happy cooking!